In a faraway galaxy, the Galactic Empire ruled over countless planets. They had advanced technology, powerful weapons, and a vast army. The Empire was always looking for new worlds to conquer and new species to control. One day, the Empire's best scientists found a small blue planet in a distant corner of the galaxy. They called this planet Earth. The scientists studied Earth from afar and saw that it was home to a species called humans. The Empire's leaders thought that humans were weak and primitive compared to them. The Emperor himself looked at the reports about Earth and its inhabitants. "These humans are nothing compared to us," he said with a smirk. "They will be easy to conquer and control. We will make them our slaves and use their planet's resources for our own gain." The Emperor ordered his top general, a fierce warrior named Zorgan, to prepare a large fleet of ships to invade Earth. Zorgan was known for his cruelty and his ability to crush any resistance quickly and without mercy. As the Empire's fleet got ready, they had no idea that humans were much stronger than they appeared. Humans had faced many challenges and hardships on their planet, and they had always found ways to survive and thrive. They were resourceful, adaptable, and had a strong will to protect their home and their loved ones. On Earth, people went about their daily lives, unaware of the danger that was coming their way from the stars. They worked, played, and enjoyed the beauty of their planet, not knowing that soon they would have to fight for their freedom and their very existence. In the Empire's capital city, Zorgan stood before his troops, ready to give a speech before they embarked on their mission. "Soldiers of the Empire," he bellowed, "today we set out to conquer a new world. The humans of Earth are weak and defenseless. They will be no match for our superior strength and technology. We will crush them swiftly and without mercy, and their planet will be ours." The soldiers cheered and raised their weapons in the air, eager to prove their worth and bring glory to the Empire. They boarded their ships, confident that victory would be theirs. As the fleet rocketed through space towards Earth, the Emperor sat on his throne, already planning what he would do with his new slaves and the resources of their planet. He had no idea that he was underestimating the strength and determination of the human spirit. On Earth, a young astronomer named Lisa was working late at her observatory. She was studying the stars, searching for any signs of life beyond her own world. Suddenly, she saw something strange in the sky. A group of bright lights moving quickly across the night. At first, she thought they might be meteors or comets, but as she looked closer, she realized they were something else entirely. Liza's heart raced as she realized the magnitude of her discovery. She knew she had to warn people about what she had seen. She quickly gathered her data and ran to alert the authorities. As the news of Lisa's discovery spread, people all over Earth reacted with a mix of fear, disbelief, and determination. World leaders held emergency meetings to discuss how to respond to this potential threat from the stars. Military forces were put on high alert, ready to defend their planet if necessary. But even as they prepared for the worst, humans held on to hope. They knew that they had faced many challenges before and had always found a way to overcome them. They believed in the power of their unity and their ability to work together in the face of any danger. As the Empire's fleet drew closer to Earth, humans stood ready to face whatever came their way. They did not know what the future would hold, but they knew that they would not give up their freedom without a fight. And so the stage was set for a battle that would determine the fate of two worlds, a battle between the advanced technology and brutal force of the Galactic Empire and the courage, resourcefulness, and unbreakable spirit of the human race. The discovery of Earth by the Empire was only the beginning of a story that would be remembered for generations to come. The Galactic Empire's fleet arrived at Earth, casting menacing shadows over the blue planet. General Zorgan stood on the bridge of his flagship, a cruel smile on his face as he surveyed the world below. "Prepare to attack," he ordered his troops. "Show no mercy to these primitive humans." On Earth, panic spread as the alien ships descended from the sky. People ran for shelter, not knowing what to expect. The world's militaries scrambled to respond, but they were caught off guard by the sudden invasion. The Empire's ships opened fire, raining down laser beams and plasma blasts upon Earth's cities. Buildings crumbled and fires raged as the alien weapons tore through the planet's defenses. Humans fought back bravely, using their own weapons to shoot at the invading ships, but their technology was no match for the Empire's advanced arsenal. In the chaos of the first attack, a group of human soldiers found themselves face to face with the Empire's ground troops. The aliens were tall, muscular, and covered in high-tech armor. They carried powerful weapons that could cut through human defenses like butter. Sergeant Jack Reeves, a veteran soldier, led his squad against the alien invaders. "Stand your ground," he shouted to his men as they took cover behind the rubble of a destroyed building. "We won't let them take our planet without a fight." The human soldiers fought bravely, using their skills and tactics to outmaneuver the alien troops. They managed to take down several of the invaders, but they were quickly overwhelmed by the Empire's superior numbers and firepower. As the battle raged on, the Empire's ships continued to bombard Earth's cities. Millions of people were killed or injured, and many more were left homeless as their homes were destroyed. The human militaries fought back as best they could, but they were losing ground quickly. In the midst of the chaos, a young woman named Maya emerged as a symbol of hope for humanity. She had lost her family in the first attack, but instead of giving in to despair, she rallied the people around her to fight back against the invaders. "We can't let them win," Maya shouted to a crowd of survivors huddled in a makeshift shelter. "We have to stand together and fight for our planet, for our freedom, and for the memory of those we've lost." Inspired by Maya's words, people all over the world began to fight back against the Empire with renewed determination. They used guerrilla tactics, sabotage, and whatever weapons they could find to strike back at the invaders. As the battles continued, the Empire began to realize that they had underestimated the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Despite their advanced technology and brutal tactics, they were facing a species that would not give up easily. General Zorgan grew increasingly frustrated as his troops struggled to crush the human resistance. "These humans are like insects," he snarled. "No matter how many we kill, more keep coming." But even as the Empire's forces continued their relentless assault, humans refused to surrender. They fought back with every ounce of strength and courage they had, knowing that their very survival depended on it. On the front lines, Sergeant Reeves and his squad continued to battle against the alien invaders. They had lost many of their comrades, but they refused to give up. "We'll fight to the last man if we have to," Reeves declared, his face grim with determination. "We won't let these bastards take our world." As the first attack began to wane, humans took stock of the destruction and loss of life. They mourned their dead and tended to their wounded, but they also began to plan for the battles ahead. They knew that the Empire would not give up easily, and that they would need every ounce of strength and ingenuity to defend their planet. The first attack had been a devastating blow, but it had also shown the Empire that humans were a force to be reckoned with. They had underestimated the strength, courage, and determination of this seemingly primitive species, and they would not make that mistake again. As the smoke cleared and the fires died down, humans looked to the stars, knowing that the fight for their planet and their freedom had only just begun. They had survived the first attack, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire had started this fight, but humanity would be the ones to finish it. After the initial attack on Earth, the Galactic Empire was shocked by the fierce resistance they encountered from the humans. General Zorgan reported back to the Emperor, admitting that the conquest of Earth would not be as easy as they had anticipated. The Emperor, enraged by this setback, ordered Zorgan to send more ships and troops to crush the human resistance once and for all. The Empire's reinforcements arrived in Earth's orbit, casting an even darker shadow over the planet. The human defenders looked up at the sky in dread, knowing that another wave of attacks was imminent. The world's leaders gathered to discuss their strategy, trying to find a way to counter the Empire's superior technology and numbers. Dr. Lisa Simmons, The astronomer who had first discovered the Empire's approach had been working tirelessly to study the alien technology. She believed that the key to defeating the Empire lay in understanding their weapons and finding a way to neutralize them. With the help of a team of brilliant scientists and engineers, Lisa began to develop new defenses for Earth. As the Empire's forces prepared for another assault, the humans deployed their new weapons. They had managed to reverse engineer some of the alien technology, creating shields that could withstand the Empire's energy weapons and missiles that could penetrate their ships' hulls. The second wave of attacks began, and the skies above Earth lit up with the fire of battle. The Empire's ships rained down destruction upon the planet. But this time, the humans were better prepared. They fought back with their new weapons, managing to take down several of the alien ships and forcing others to retreat. On the ground, the Empire's troops engaged in fierce combat with human soldiers and resistance fighters. The battles were brutal and bloody, with heavy casualties on both sides. The Empire's advanced armor and weapons gave them an advantage, but the humans fought with a desperate determination, knowing that they were fighting for the survival of their species. In one of the most intense battles, Sergeant Jack Reeves and his squad found themselves surrounded by enemy troops. They had been fighting for hours, and their ammunition was running low. Just as all seemed lost, a squadron of human fighter jets appeared in the sky above, launching missiles at the alien forces and giving Reeves and his men a chance to escape. The tide of the battle began to turn, but the Empire was far from defeated. They still had vast resources and an unshakable belief in their own superiority. General Zorgan, humiliated by the humans' resistance, became even more ruthless in his tactics. He ordered his troops to target civilian populations, hoping to break the humans' will to fight. As news of the Empire's atrocities spread, the humans' resolve only grew stronger. They knew that they were fighting not just for their own lives, but for the future of their entire species. People from all walks of life joined the resistance, using whatever skills and resources they had to contribute to the fight. Maya, the young woman who had emerged as a symbol of hope during the first attack, continued to inspire her fellow humans. She organized rallies and protests, urging people to stand together against the Empire's tyranny. Her words and her example gave people the courage to keep fighting, even in the darkest of times. Despite the humans' bravery and determination, the Empire's onslaught continued. The skies above Earth were filled with the constant flashes of explosions and the smoke of burning cities. The human defenders fought on, but they were being pushed back, slowly but steadily losing ground to the alien invaders. In a desperate attempt to turn the tide, Dr. Simmons and her team launched a daring plan. They had discovered a weakness in the Empire's technology, a vulnerability in their shields that could be exploited. If they could get close enough to the Empire's flagship, they could deploy a virus that would disable the ship's defenses and allow the humans to strike a decisive blow. It was a risky plan, but the humans knew that they had no choice. They had to take the fight to the Empire, to show them that they would never surrender. As the battle raged on, a small team of human fighters, led by Sergeant Reeves, launched their attack on the Empire's flagship. The virus worked, and human ships began to attack. General Zorgan realized Earth would be a challenge, but he and the Emperor remained confident human defiance would be crushed. The Empire struck back harder, but the humans rose to meet them. The final battle loomed, with the fate of worlds in play. As the war against the Galactic Empire raged on, the people of Earth knew they needed to stand together like never before. The Empire's attacks had left cities in ruins and millions dead, but the human spirit remained unbroken. Across the globe, people from all walks of life began to unite in their determination to protect their planet. In the ruins of a once great city, Maya, the young woman who had become a symbol of hope, stood before a crowd of survivors. Her eyes blazed with passion as she spoke. "The Empire thinks they can break us, but they're wrong. We are stronger than they know. We have something they don't have. The power of unity, the strength that comes from fighting for each other." Her words spread like wildfire, transmitted across the planet through the remnants of the global communication network. People listened and felt their own hearts swell with determination. In secret meetings and hidden bases, plans were made and resources pooled. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to improve Earth's defenses, while soldiers and civilians trained side by side, learning to fight as one. Dr. Lisa Simmons, the astronomer who had first spotted the Empire's approach, had become one of the key figures in Earth's resistance. Her understanding of the enemy's technology had been instrumental in the development of new weapons and strategies. As she worked in her lab, surrounded by a team of brilliant minds, she couldn't help but marvel at the resilience of her fellow humans. "We've always been at our best when we work together," she said to her colleagues. "The Empire may have superior technology, but we have something they'll never understand. The power of human connection, the strength that comes from fighting for something bigger than ourselves." As the resistance grew, the Empire found themselves facing a new kind of enemy. No longer were they fighting against scattered pockets of humans, but against a united front, a planet that stood as one. In the skies above Earth, human pilots flew in tight formations, their ships enhanced with the latest in reverse-engineered alien technology. On the ground, soldiers and civilians worked together to set traps and ambushes, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. The Empire's forces were still formidable, and the battles were fierce and bloody. But slowly, inch by inch, the humans began to push back. They retook cities and liberated prisoner camps, freeing those who had been captured by the enemy. They struck at the Empire's supply lines and communications, disrupting their ability to coordinate their attacks. General Zorgan, the Empire's ruthless commander, grew increasingly frustrated with the humans' tenacity. He had underestimated them, dismissing them as primitive and weak. But now, as he watched his forces being beaten back, he began to realize the magnitude of his mistake. In a desperate attempt to regain the upper hand, Zorgan ordered a massive assault on the humans' main base of operations. If he could crush the resistance at its heart, he believed, the rest of the planet would quickly fall in line. The Empire's ships descended from the skies like a swarm of angry locusts, their weapons primed and ready. But the humans were ready for them. As the enemy ships approached, a fleet of human spacecraft rose up to meet them, led by Sergeant Jack Reeves and his battered but unbroken fighter. The two sides clashed in a furious battle, laser beams and missiles crisscrossing the sky in a deadly dance. On the ground, Maya and Dr. Simmons worked together to coordinate the defense, directing troops and resources where they were needed most. They knew that this battle could be the turning point, the moment that decided the fate of their planet. As the battle raged on, the humans fought with a ferocity that stunned the Empire's forces. They were no longer fighting as individuals, but as a single entity, a united force that drew strength from each other. And in that moment, as the enemy ships began to fall from the sky, and the cheers of the human defenders filled the air, they knew that they had a chance. The battle was far from over, and the Empire still had plenty of fight left in them. But the humans had shown that they were a force to be reckoned with, a species that would not go quietly into the night. They had united in the face of an overwhelming enemy, and in doing so, they had discovered a strength they never knew they had. As the dust settled and the wounded were tended to, Maya looked out over the battlefield, her heart swelling with pride and hope. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "We've shown the Empire what we're made of, but there's still a long way to go. But as long as we stand together, as long as we fight for each other, there's nothing we can't achieve." And with those words, the humans of Earth prepared themselves for the battles to come, knowing that whatever the future held, they would face it as one. The Galactic Empire was reeling from the latest string of defeats at the hands of the united human forces. Emperor Zorg, enraged by the setbacks, summoned General Zorgan to his throne room. "I want this resistance crushed, once and for all," he bellowed. "Bring me victory, or don't bother returning." Zorgan, his pride wounded and his resolve hardened, bowed before his emperor. "It will be done, my lord. I will unleash the full might of our empire upon these defiant humans. The empire began to amass its forces for a final devastating assault on Earth. Ships from across the galaxy converge, forming a fleet so vast it seemed to blot out the stars. Weapons of unimaginable power were readied, each capable of reducing a city to ashes in seconds. On Earth, the human resistance knew that the end was coming. Dr. Lisa Simmons, working tirelessly in her lab, had intercepted enemy transmissions detailing the Empire's plans. "They're coming," she announced grimly to the assembled leaders. "And they're bringing everything they have." Maya, the young woman who had become the face of the resistance, stepped forward. "Then we'll just have to bring everything we have too. This is our home, our planet. We'll defend it to our last breath." The humans began their own preparations, fortifying their cities and readying their defenses. Sergeant Jack Reeves led training exercises, honing the skills of the newly formed Earth Defense Force. In hidden bases, engineers and scientists worked around the clock, developing new weapons and technologies to level the playing field. As the Empire's fleet approached Earth, the planet's defenses sprang into action. Satellites armed with powerful lasers targeted the incoming ships, while ground-based missile batteries launched salvos of rockets into the sky. The Empire's ships returned fire, and the battle for Earth began in earnest. The fighting was intense and brutal, with both sides taking heavy losses. The Empire's superior technology and vast numbers gave them an edge, but the humans fought with a ferocity born of desperation. They knew that this was their last stand, their final chance to save their world. In the heart of the battle, General Zorgan's flagship loomed, a behemoth of a ship bristling with weapons. Sergeant Reeves, leading a squadron of fighter jets, saw an opportunity. "If we can take out that ship, we might have a chance," he said over the comm. "Follow me in and give it everything you've got." The human fighters swarmed the flagship, dodging and weaving through a hail of enemy fire. Reeves, his eyes narrowed in concentration, lined up his shot and let loose a volley of missiles. The warheads struck home, and the flagship's shields flickered and died. Seizing the moment, the human forces concentrated their fire on the vulnerable ship. Explosions blossomed along its hull as it began to break apart, the once mighty vessel reduced to a flaming wreck. General Zorgan, his face contorted in rage and disbelief, went down with his ship. With the loss of their leader and their flagship, the Empire's forces fell into disarray. The humans pressed their advantage, driving the enemy back and reclaiming the skies above their world. Cheers erupted across the globe as news of the victory spread. But the celebration was short-lived. Emperor Zorg, upon learning of Zorgan's defeat, flew into a rage. "If I can't have this planet, then no one will," he snarled. He gave the order for a final, desperate attack, one that would reduce Earth to a lifeless husk. As the Empire's ships began to power up their ultimate weapon, a massive energy cannon capable of shattering a planet, the humans knew that they had only one chance. Maya, Dr. Simmons, and Sergeant Reeves, working together, came up with a plan. They would use the captured alien technology to create a feedback loop, turning the Empire's own weapon against them. It was a desperate gamble, but it was the only hope they had. As the energy cannon began to glow with an unholy light, the humans put their plan into action. The feedback loop worked, and the cannon overloaded, exploding in a blinding flash of light. The Empire's ships were consumed in the blast, the entire fleet wiped out in an instant. And just like that, it was over. The Empire was defeated, and Earth was saved. The humans had won, not just through strength of arms, but through their unity, their courage, and their indomitable will. They had faced the greatest threat in their history and emerged victorious, a testament to the power of the human spirit. As the people of Earth began to rebuild, Maya looked up at the stars, a smile on her face. "We did it," she said softly. "We showed them what humans are made of. And now, the galaxy knows that we're not to be underestimated." The Empire's defeat at the final battle left them shocked and reeling. Never before had they encountered a species that could withstand their might, let alone push them back. As the remnants of their once proud fleet limped away from Earth, the surviving commanders couldn't help but wonder how it had all gone so wrong. On the planet's surface, the human resistance celebrated their hard-fought victory. Cities around the globe erupted in cheers and tears of joy as news of the Empire's retreat spread. But even in the midst of their triumph, the leaders of Earth knew that this was not the end. Sergeant Jack Reeves, his uniform still stained with the blood and sweat of battle, met with Maya and Dr. Lisa Simmons in a makeshift command center. "We've won the battle," he said grimly, "but the war is far from over. The Empire will be back, and they'll be seeking revenge." Maya nodded, her eyes hard with determination. "We can't afford to rest on our laurels. We need to send a message to make it clear that Earth is not to be trifled with." Dr. Simmons, exhausted but exhilarated by their victory, chimed in. "I might have an idea. The alien technology we've captured. I think I can use it to boost our communication systems. We could send a warning to the Empire. Let them know that any further aggression will be met with fierce resistance." Reeves and Maya exchanged a glance. It was a bold plan, but one that could very well backfire. If the Empire took it as a challenge instead of a deterrent, they could return with even greater force. But as they looked out at the jubilant but war-weary faces of their fellow humans, they knew they had to take the chance. They had to do everything in their power to protect their planet and their people. And so, Dr. Simmons and her team got to work. They labored day and night, integrating the alien tech with Earth's communication networks. It was a monumental task, but one driven by a sense of urgency and purpose. Finally, after days of tireless effort, they were ready. Maya, now recognized as the leader of the United Earth Resistance, stood before a global audience, ready to deliver her message to the stars. "Attention, Galactic Empire," she began, her voice strong and clear. "This is Maya, speaking on behalf of the people of Earth. We have defeated your forces and driven you from our world. But know this, our victory is not an invitation for further conflict." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are a peaceful species, but we are not to be underestimated. We have shown that we will fight tooth and nail to defend our home, our freedom, and our way of life. Any future aggression will be met with the full might of a united Earth." As Maya spoke, Dr. Simmons and her team broadcast the message into space, amplified by the captured alien technology. It rang out across the stars, a warning and a promise. Light years away, in the heart of the Empire's territory, Emperor Zorg received the transmission. As he listened to Maya's words, his face contorted with rage and disbelief. How dare these primitives defy him? How dare they challenge the might of the Empire? But even as his anger boiled, a small part of him couldn't help but feel a grudging respect. These humans had proven themselves to be formidable opponents, with a spirit and tenacity that rivaled any he had encountered. Perhaps, he mused, it was time for a change in strategy. Perhaps brute force was not the way to deal with this particular species. Back on Earth, Maya ended her transmission with a final powerful statement. "We are the people of Earth, and we will not be conquered. Remember this, Galactic Empire. Remember this, and choose your next steps wisely." As the globe erupted in applause, Maya stepped back from the podium, her heart racing. She knew that this was not the end, that there would be more challenges and threats to come. But she also knew that Earth was ready. They had faced the worst the universe could throw at them, and had emerged victorious. And as she looked out at the faces of her fellow humans, faces filled with hope, determination, and an unbreakable spirit, she knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. The war had changed them all, had forged them into something new and powerful. They were no longer just the people of Earth. They were the defenders of Earth. And they would be ready, always, to protect their home and their way of life, no matter what the stars might bring. The war was finally over. The Galactic Empire had been defeated, their fleet destroyed, and their leader, Emperor Zorg, was presumed dead. The people of Earth emerged from their shelters, blinking in the sunlight, hardly daring to believe that they had won. But even as they celebrated their victory, the scars of the war were evident everywhere. Cities lay in ruins, the landscape was scorched and blackened, and countless lives had been lost. The joy of triumph was tempered by the weight of the sacrifices that had been made. In the days that followed, the survivors began the long, hard process of rebuilding. Sergeant Jack Reeves, now hailed as a hero for his role in the final battle, led teams of volunteers in clearing rubble and searching for survivors. Dr. Lisa Simmons, whose brilliant mind had been instrumental in humanity's success, turned her attention to developing new technologies to help with the reconstruction efforts. And Maya, the young woman who had become the face and heart of the resistance, found herself thrust into a new role. She was now a leader, a symbol of hope for a world that had been through so much. She traveled the globe, visiting the wounded in hospitals, comforting the grieving, and rallying the people to look towards the future. But even as life began to return to a semblance of normalcy, the leaders of Earth knew that they could not rest easy. The Empire had been defeated, but they had learned a harsh lesson. They were not alone in the universe, and not all those who shared the stars were friendly. A new global initiative was launched, one focused on preparing for the future. The Earth Defense Force, which had been born in the heat of battle, was expanded and made permanent. New research programs were funded, aimed at understanding and replicating the advanced alien technologies that had been captured during the war. Dr. Simmons found herself at the forefront of these efforts. She worked tirelessly, driven by a determination to ensure that Earth would never again be caught unprepared. Her team made breakthrough after breakthrough, developing new shields, weapons, and propulsion systems that would have been unimaginable just a few short years before. But even as Earth looked to the stars, there were those who looked inward. The war had brought humanity together as never before, but old divisions and prejudices began to resurface as the immediate threat receded. Maya, seeing the cracks beginning to form, knew that she had a new battle to fight. She spoke out, using her platform to call for unity, for understanding, for a recognition of the common humanity that had saved them all. "We fought together, we bled together, we triumphed together," she said in a globally broadcast speech. "Let us not forget the lessons we learned, the bonds we forged in the fire of adversity." Her words struck a chord, and slowly, painfully, Earth began to heal. The rebuilding continued, the defenses were strengthened, and the people learned to live with the knowledge that they were a part of a much larger, much more dangerous universe. Years passed, and a new generation grew up, one that had never known a world without the specter of alien threat. They were taught the history of the Great War, of the heroes who had fought and died to save Earth. And they were taught to be vigilant, to be ready, for the day when the stars might once again turn hostile. But they were also taught to hope, to dream, to reach for a future where humanity might take its place among the stars not as a victim, but as an equal. Maya, now older and wiser, watched this new generation with pride and with hope. For she knew that the true legacy of the war was not just the defeat of the Empire, but the spirit that had been forged in that crucible. The spirit of unity, of resilience, of courage in the face of impossible odds. That was the spirit that had saved Earth, and it was the spirit that would carry humanity forward, to whatever challenges and wonders the future might hold. And so, as the people of Earth looked up at the stars, they did so not with fear, but with determination and with hope. They had faced the worst the universe could throw at them, and they had emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. They were ready for whatever the future might bring, and they would face it as they had faced everything else, together.